Hi, I'm Pat Baer, and this is Pat Baer's Anime Club, an ongoing video series where I take a look at something from the world of anime or visual novels or manga or what have you associated that I want to chat with you about. It could be a deep dive into a particular genre or subgenre, maybe. I'll look at upcoming or previous seasons of anime. Just anything that kind of appeals to me. I had a video pretty much ready to go and recorded, researched fully. I've been talking about this video for a bit. It required a lot of research. But then I changed my mind because I saw a video by a very popular, I will not link it because I don't want their fans to get mad at me, but a very popular anime focused YouTuber about reverse isekai. And reverse isekai isn't a thing. It's just not. It's not a thing. Sometimes people like to use reverse isekai, meaning like to them, they think isekai is a series where someone from modernish Earth goes to a fantasy realm, and then, or either through dying and being reborn there, or by transferring. And then the reverse would be, oh, the main character isn't from our human Earth and shows up there, or they're from a fantasy version of our timeline and appear there. And that's not the case. It's not like a reverse harem, where harem specifically is one male and a party of females, and the reverse harem would be a female and a party of males if you want to be by gender binaries. Reverse isekai isn't a thing. It's just different world. The term isekai just means different world. You can go from one fantasy world to another, and there are examples of that in light novels and mangas and anime, and that's fine. So there's no such thing. You can say, if you want to say that this isekai specifically takes place on Earth and the main character isn't from Earth, then just say that. It's just that kind of isekai. Like there are isekai that are, postmodern, I like to say, where it's like, oh, it's a slime, the non-human variety, the vending machine, the sword, that kind of variety, or the traditional isekai, where it's a female-led, or the kind of like modern isekai that takes ideas from the death game anime Sword Art Online, which is not an isekai until later when maybe you could call it one. But first, the beginning is not an isekai of that show. It's a death game anime. But it certainly influenced the genre, like Jobless Reincarnation influenced the genre. That's kind of modern take, fusing the overpowered main character trope with the harem trope all together. And then you can also throw in the kicked/banished subgenre, which sometimes shows up in isekai. Anyway, this video isn't actually just me complaining about the term reverse isekai and how it's not real because isekai just means different world, and it doesn't matter what world it is as long as it's different from your own. This video is actually about isekai set on Earth. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to talk about a bunch of examples of isekai that are set on Earth, where the main character is not from our world or the world of the show, and is therefore transferred there or died and got reincarnated there, and then things happen in that world. I'm going to go through some of my favorites here, and I'm going to talk about one that doesn't usually get called an isekai, but often gets called a reverse isekai, which doesn't make sense, and how that's not an isekai, and it's not certainly a reverse isekai. We'll get to that at the end. Let's talk about Devil is a Part-Timer. This is a classic example, and people call this a reverse isekai, and I think part of it is because it's always been a little questionable if actually, sorry, I'm just making sure we're still recording. We are. Great. Having some issues with that, but we're good. Does hell count as a different world? And some say yes, like Devil's a Part-Timer, another one we'll be talking about shortly. And then some people say no. And anime like, for example, Irmakun. Welcome to Demon School Irmakun. The creator of the manga says it's not an isekai because hell is the hell dimension is not a different world. It's part of the same world. I think it's an isekai, and I've talked about that before. But anyway, Devil's a Part-Timer classic. Do I like the second season? Eventually, by the time we got to the end of part 2 of it, I came around on it. I think it's a big downgrade in animation quality. And the storyline, there might be a reason why it took so long to come out, but I think the first season holds up. It's comedic. It's very fun. It is a classic example where the main character and even supporting characters are from a different world on Earth. It's an isekai because our demon lord is the main character, which is the most important part. There are two parts to it. It takes place in a different world from the main character. I mean, it's the main character. Yeah, that's it. So it's not two parts. I'm sorry. That's what I'm defining. Different world from the main character. The Great Jai will not be defeated is so fun and cute and lovely. This is another example. Our demon lords on Earth. There are some other demons around. She's supposed to be evil, but she's just pathetic and trying her goddamn best. And it's so fun. It's so good. It is a lovely comedy series that pulls at your heartstrings sometimes, and you're really rooting for this character who maybe even won't be bad once she gets her powers back, but damn it, she's gonna do her best. And the support of some lovely people around her. Otaku Elf is pretty recent. This is, hey, it's an elf living in Japan that has lived there for a very long time. And then we find out through the course of the series, she's not the only one. Several elves have been transported to Earth years and years ago to be shrine maidens, which is cool. And kind of like a little bit of an explanation of some of the mysticism in early Japan folklore, and kind of explains that away because they're from a different world. That's why they're here. And that's where they're doing their things. And then you have one who loves a bunch of modern nerd shit, but then also has reasons to love that modern nerd shit because sometimes she was around for it becoming popular the first time around. And it's just cute and fun. It's a good series. I'm just kind of like telling you about these shows because I think they're neat, really. That's all it is. This started off as me being mad about a video, and then I decided I could do more than just rant about it for 3 minutes because that's a YouTube short, really. Dead Mount Deathplay. Didn't know when the first season of this came out that this was an isekai. I now have a better way of finding out if shows are isekais or not. I'm like looking at categories at various websites, and I'm figuring it out because I was... you may know this. You can find it here on the playlist. I talk about isekai every season because it's a subgenre that I watch a lot of. So I didn't know that the main character, I knew he was a necromancer. I'd seen clips. I understood that he was doing something, but I didn't realize that he had come from a fantasy world to a version of Japan. I was unaware of that, and I was like, oh, well, that's an isekai. And it's not, as stated over and over again, a reverse isekai because... that's not a thing. I should say that there's nothing on this list that's the post isekai. There are, I do not believe at this time that there are any anime that do that. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. I know that there are anime where people travel back and forth between the two worlds, like Dog Days and Inuyasha, where there is they go back and forth. But I don't know. Digimon is a great example of that, where they go back and forth. But I don't know if anyone that are the post, where they were in an isekai and now they're back in the world. Actually, no, I do know one of those. It was very horny. And it was all about, like, there was a little bit about that fantasy world, but it was mostly about being at this high school for people that had traveled. It wasn't like something, it's like, it wasn't aesthetic record, but it's something like that. I think that might be the only anime I can think of right now that is the post isekai. It's kind of come around to popularity again in manga right now, so I'm sure we will see some anime of the post and those things of like what happens after. Uncle in Another World from Another World also is an example because he's back and he's having flashbacks of his time there. So it is the back and forth in that way with flashbacks. So that does count as well. I'm answering my own query. Anyway, Dead Mount Deathplay. I think this is oddly funny, like enjoyable. I got again. Once I got to the second half, I was like, oh, this is an isekai. Oh, okay, I'll check this out, and I enjoyed it. It's not the best, but it is a fun thing of watching these people who have various different abilities, but this guy's from another world, and his are different. Recreators is what a lot of people talk about when they think of this kind of genre of reverse isekai. Because they're like, well, it's on Earth, and all of these characters are from fictional worlds coming to this Earth, but who's really the main character? To which I would say, either this is an isekai or it's not an isekai, but it's not a reverse isekai. And I do think that it's very clearly the antagonist might be the main character in the show, but the antagonist, the major villain of it, is definitely from a different world and is the focal point of the show, and therefore Recreators is a isekai. You could say that, oh, if one of the humans is the main character, then it's not an isekai. You could say that. I think it is. And I think the main characters are from other worlds, and it's fine by that. Because there's one show that people call a reverse isekai, but they don't call a regular isekai, and that's Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Because Toru and the other dragons are from a different world. And also the human, Enma, they're from a different world, and they're in our world. So therefore, it's a reverse isekai. And to that I say, no. Actually, it's not even an isekai, because Miss Kobayashi is the main character, and she's a human. This is a Tenchi-like, because I don't know if there is a word for this. The Oh My Goddess, Tenchi Muyo. I mean, there are plenty of examples of it. Salad Bowl of Eccentrics, maybe you could say, is a regular isekai and not a like destination anime. I don't know what the term is for this. I always say a Tenchi-like, where the main character is from this world. I don't want to hear it that maybe Tenchi isn't fully from Earth. He's an Earthling, even if his mother maybe retconned to not be an Earthling, or maybe that was the plan all along. Tenchi's still an Earth human that grew up on Earth, and then a bunch of aliens show up at his doorstep. Again, the Oh My Goddess, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, as we're talking about right here. The idea of the main characters from Earth, and then a bunch of people show up. I think Data Live, I think they're all aliens. I don't know enough about Data Live, but I think they're all aliens, and they show up to see what's up with this one dude. But in this case, Kobayashi's the main character. If Toru is the main character, then this is an isekai, because it's a different world from where Toru grew up and lived. If Toru is not the main character, then this is just a fantasy romance show. And it's good and great. If you have not watched Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid and the second season, check it out. Second season I don't love as much as the first season. There's a couple parts in the first season that suck, but like for the most part, it's enjoyable and adorable, and you should check it out. And yeah, how long is this video? It was like a 13-minute video. It'd be like 14 by the time I'm done. Sure, it didn't have to be that big a deal. This was isekai set on Earth, and wasn't reverse isekai isn't a thing, which is what I titled it. Sneakily, I thought reverse isekai isn't a thing would be a good title for this video, but technically it is just isekai set on Earth. What's your favorite show that is an isekai set on Earth? If I didn't listen in here, is there one that really stuck out to you, and you were like, oh no, Pat, this is actually my favorite isekai that happens to be set on a modern Earth? And blah, 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 here we go, and let me know. And if you think I'm wrong, if you think that reverse isekai, if you think isekai means different world from Earth, or different world from Japan, or whatever, and you think I'm wrong, you can also let me know in the comments. I don't think I'll agree with you, but maybe you'll have a compelling point. I have been wrong many times in my life, and I could be wrong about this. I don't think that I am. Am I being needlessly annoying about it? Probably. But this has been Pat Baer's Anime Club. I've got some other videos lined up here. As I said, I have done a lot of research on one particular idea, the weirdest and worst plot reveals in anime. I think it's plot reveals / plot twists, looking at some really shitty like moves that were there all along maybe, and we're too foolish to see it, and like, well, it changed it, but was that worth it? No. I'm doing research for that. I've got like 4 shows to talk about. And then I also have a video about the joy of being anime only. Maybe your head is in the sand, but there's joy in that. And of course, been recommended to me that I do an episode about some of the worst filler in anime. I am not opposed to good filler. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need to do some episodes to catch up to because you're catching up too fast to the source material. I'm fine with that. Sometimes filler is terrible. I can think of a couple right off the top of my head. I've talked about at least one on this very video series. So let me know if you have ideas for any of those or other videos you'd like to see. If you're watching an Isekai that you think should have been included on this list, that I'm like, oh, of course, that show was set on Earth and was really good. You're right. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video, which was, as I stated numerous times, I saw a video, it made me mad, and I decided to make this one. Was it as researched as some of my other Pat Bear's Anime Clubs? No. Does it feel good to get it off my chest? Yes. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.